Just a stone's throw from downtown Knoxville, the deep waters of an old rock quarry are now home to an invasive alien.
I have several friends that think I'm making this all up, but you gotta find them.
On the surface, nature writer Stephen Lynn Bales enjoys a sunny day canoeing at Meads Quarry Lake.
This is an absolutely perfect day for this.
But the senior naturalist at IAM's Nature Center strokes in search of something deeper. Scanning for a species usually associated with the salty sea.
It's an East Tennessee jellyfish. To the scientific community, they are called Craspedicusta sorii. That's their Latin name. But to the rest of the world, they're freshwater jellyfish. It's the only species of freshwater jellyfish in the entire world.
After paddling and probing this 25-acre lake,
And they can pop up anywhere.
Bales bumps into a full bloom.
There they are. I see them. I'm right in the middle of them. They're all around me. Hey, little babies.
A smack of thousands of freshwater jellyfish as far as the eye can see.
Oh, they're incredibly fascinating.
Blasting light through a clear container reveals all the algae, sediment, and these tiny creatures' tangle of translucent tentacles.
They can have as up to 300 tentacles, and they're tiny. They're only the size of a penny, and they're transparent. They have tentacles that can sting, but they only sting zooplankton, little tiny animals. Those are the kind of things we studied in high school biology looking through a microscope.
They feed on the microscopic animals in the water, and Bale says there's no need for people to fear the pain of a freshwater sting.
That's usually the first question is, will they sting me? They cannot sting us. They don't have enough venom in those tentacles to hurt us. They can't penetrate our flesh, so you can literally pick them up or catch one if they get close enough to the surface. Whoa.
So, how'd they get here in the first place? Freshwater jellyfish are native to China and first showed up in the United States around 1907. One theory, they're polyps attached to imported water lilies, then took flight to new waters with help from our feathered friends.
Riding on the legs and feet of ducks and water birds, they're pretty much throughout the entire 48 states. They first appeared in this lake in 1997.
And freshwater jellyfish really thrive in calm waters like you would find at a reservoir or in this quarry. But if these creatures are so widespread, why is it that so many people have never even seen one? You need perfect timing for a sighting this special, because the animals only look like actual jellyfish for a few weeks of their lives.
It's roughly a 2-year life cycle. Most of their lives, they're in another form. They're down on the bottom. And little polyps that are like transparent gelatin. But then as it grows and matures, it will develop that classic jellyfish Medusa stage. That's their adult stage. It's a lot like a butterfly's final stage of life. So there is a tight window. So I'm excited to see them. It's like old friends again.
And when the water heats up, so does this underwater undulation, all for reproduction.
The boys and girls find each other. Each will lay eggs, and pretty shortly after that, as the temperatures start to drop, all the adult medusas die.
Bale says jellyfish are sensitive to pollution, so this is a good sign the water is clean. A ripe location for eggs to take hold and transform 80 feet below, and repeat the cycle of life until their next late summer surge to the surface.
I think you should care because simply it shows the marvel of life on Earth.
Even at an old industrial site, nature can reclaim this chiseled scar on the land and give life to something in between the solid rocks and the flowing fluids to conjure up a joyful jelly.
These incredibly wonderful, tiny little creatures called freshwater jellyfish. These are the most fascinating creatures I can imagine, but just enjoy it.
At Meads Quarry Lake, Jim Matheny, WBIR 10 News.
You know, it's one of those things you tell people and they almost don't believe you.
In Oak Ridge, Joshua Hamilton reflects on nature in his backyard, where the pileated woodpeckers are closer than they appear.
Saw a woodpecker on my truck looking at the mirror. He's looking at himself in the mirror. I said, oh, cool. I took a picture of him. You definitely tell he was having a big old time, but tilt his head. I look up and the mirror is just in a million pieces. Multiple impact there and right there. He's hit it a couple times to break it. Talked to my neighbor and that's when he said, mine are broke too.
This mirror was busted. And I noticed this side was busted. I had no idea what it was.
Then Sam Moore caught the bird red-handed or headed. He caught it in the act.
I was very excited when I saw it. I was like, yeah, there it is. And just stay put so I can go get the camera. It was sitting on my neighbor's mirror on his truck, just looking at itself, and then it hopped around on the windshield. It's a very, very skittish bird. As soon as it sees you, it'll hop on the other side of a tree or it'll take off flying. We got another 2 mirrors.
Four total. It was funny the first time. After a while, you just start going, wait a minute, get out of here.
Trying to protect their territory, they don't quite realize that's a reflection. They think it's another bird invading their territory, trying to drive them away.
Mark Armstrong at the Knoxville Zoo says reflections tend to ruffle the feathers of any bird, from peacocks to turkeys. They all take exception to their rival reflections. But the pileated woodpecker is the only bird with this kind of heavy artillery.
Really powerful. Just about anything is vulnerable to them. They've had pileated woodpeckers drill right through a concrete wall.
Woodpeckers are protected, so you cannot kill them. Besides, Moore says there's a better solution in the bag.
It's a very, very simple fix. I just put it on, tie it off, and the bird can't see itself. Pretty easy. Protects the car and protects the birds.
And Moore says a little shattered glass comes with the territory because this was the bird's territory before people moved here.
One of the reasons I chose to live where I live is because of the proximity to nature. I love it. This particular bird, the pileated woodpecker, is a beautiful, beautiful bird. It's huge. I love to see it. I love to hear it. You know, it's just a bird doing what a bird does.
Thinks he's a threat or a foe and decides to attack him.
Hamilton says the damage cost around $100, but he got plenty of bang for his buck with a funny story about the fractures from his feathered friend.
People go, wait, your mirror got broken by a woodpecker? Yeah, it's an unusual one.
In Oak Ridge, Jim Matheny, WBIR 10 News. Those seeking enlightenment about Mother Nature's pyrotechnics, look no further than Lynn Faust.
You know, I'm lucky enough to live in the middle of firefly heaven.
You can call her the lightning bug lady.
Lightning bugs, well, they're just something fun.
And whether you say lightning bug or firefly, it's the same thing. And it's not really a bug or a fly. It's a beetle that can spend a year or two underground. Then, in the final few weeks of its life, spreads its wings and goes out in a romantic blaze of glory. The flash sends a seductive strobe to match with a mate.
Each species has its own flash, its own song of love. It's to find a mate and lay eggs, and then they die.
Faust did not originally set out to become a luminary in lightning bugs. For her, the light came on in the early 90s. That's when she personally introduced the world to the now famous synchronous fireflies in the Great Smoky Mountains.
It really is truly something fabulous.
For decades, Faust watched the light show as a family tradition at her in-laws' cabin at Elkmont.
We've always called it the light show. We'd all be up at the cabin. My late mother-in-law, she'd say, in 10 minutes the lights are going out and the light show's going to begin.
In this interview from the 1990s, Faust told WBIR's The Heartland series that she realized the species in the Smokies was special after stumbling across an article in Science magazine.
In reading it, the comment was made that there were no synchronized fireflies in the Western Hemisphere. And thought, oh, we've got them. You know, we've been watching them for years up at Elkmont.
Scientists saw Faust was spot on, and soon Elkmont became a sold-out synchronous sensation.
To enjoy a simple, natural phenomena. I think that's really good.
And putting a spotlight on the Smokies' lightning bug light show gave Faust a burning desire to learn about all the other types of fireflies.
There's so much variety.
But finding information was not as easy as you think, mostly because these little beloved bugs don't bother anybody.
They don't kill anything, and they're not an agricultural pest, so there's no research funding for a happy little insect like a lightning bug. Big one.
So on her own, Faust spent decades digging through scholarly articles and doing her own research.
These books represent 25 years of field notes.
Now she wants to introduce people to new light shows and says you don't have to go to Elkmont to see an awesome display.
Right here where we're sitting, right here in Tennessee, we have close to 30 species right here. You get in your backyard. You don't even have to get in your car usually.
Take these bushes and trees in Knoxville. They may not seem like anything special amid the steady hum of air conditioners. But this patio furniture becomes a front row seat for a symphony in the sky.
Like what you have in your trees, in your backyard. You know, that's gorgeous. Plenty of other beautiful light shows of their own type that people can enjoy just as much.
And after 4 years of burning the candle at both ends, Faust has completed the first book that puts it all in one place.
There's field guides for everything else, and I think it's time for a field guide for lightning bugs, and cover 50 species in exquisite detail, the flash, and the time of year they come out and where they fly, like trees versus grass. They can sit in their lawn chair and see something beautiful.
And a big breakthrough for this book is Faust worked with other experts to conjure up fun nicknames for all of the species. Names that people can actually remember.
Such as the Big Dipper. When it flashes, they dip when they flash. It's what you probably caught in your yard if you were chasing and catching fireflies. And they're fun because they actually display at dusk when you can still see them. The sidewinders flash sideways. I love the ghost family, the blue ghosts. They look like ghosts because it glows. The Chinese lanterns, the Mr. Mac, the twilight bush babies. My husband thought of that one. I thought that's a good one. Live under the bush and they come out at twilight and they're little bitty things, so they're little bush babies. The tourist hebe. I said, let's just do heebie-jeebie because they flash quickly. It's kind of like the heebie-jeebies. They flash as much as almost 2 times a second on hot nights.
And the smoky synchronous aren't the only ones that flash in unison. You can find another synchronous species in a snap.
We call them the snappy sinks, the Photurus frontalis. It's very widespread. They're in Sequoia Hills, that same species, anywhere you get a kind of a mature forest.
But lightning bugs have to be careful what they flash for. Some species do not radiate for romance. A few femme fatales flash to fool other fireflies into becoming their feast.
Oh, the big scaries. See the predator, you can almost look at and tell that thing looks scary, just as violent and gory. But the predatory ones have figured out they can lure lovesick males in and think that they're meeting the love of their life, and really they will land on the predator who eats them.
Whether it's the big scaries, the big dippers, or the heebie-jeebies. Faust says finally putting a name with a flash can light a fire for more people to get out into nature and care for and protect the beaconing beetles in their own backyards.
You aren't ever going to love what you don't know. And until you know what you're looking at, you're not going to care about it. It's the biggest compliment. People said, I feel like that firefly, I know it now. It's my friend.
In Knoxville, Jim Matheny, WBIR 10 News.